It is the 29th of March 2021. Many thanks indeed for joining us here at Kutv News at 9, home to comprehensive and detailed bulletin on what is happening in the country and beyond our borders. A lot we have in store for you tonight, including coronavirus pandemic here in the country. Nairobi County has reported more than 700 cases today. We'll be giving you details concerning the adherence of Kenyans to measures put in place by the government. Away from that, in our discussion tonight, we'll be focusing on matters reproductive health and why menstrual hygiene is quite important when ensuring reproductive health among women and girls. But as is our custom, let's take a look at stories making headline tonight. KCSE now urges Kenyans to surrender oxygen gas cylinders following a crisis. Police have a hard time controlling motorbikes that are ferrying people across the roadblock. KCSE examinations enters day 2 with the Ministry of Education raising alarm on cheating. Former US President Barack Obama mourns the death of grandmother as he is set to be buried in Kogelo tomorrow under Muslim rites.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Irene Mwangi.
I'm not alone. I'm in the company of Sharon Dinda, who is our sign language interpreter tonight. Let's get started. The government is now seeking to increase the capacity of gas cylinders required to take care of patients of COVID-19. In a press briefing on Monday, Health Mutahi Kagwe said the country is running low on quality cylinders in health facilities. This comes even as 121 patients lie in the intensive care unit, with 32 on ventilatory support, 82 on supplemental oxygen.
With the surging numbers of coronavirus cases, the health facilities are getting overwhelmed day by day. The clearest sign being the oxygen crisis in hospitals due to lack of oxygen gas cylinders amid the rising number of COVID-19 infection and fatalities in the current third wave of the pandemic. In a press briefing, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe now says the country is facing a serious shortage of the cylinders in the market, even as he pointed out the high cost of acquiring new cylinders.
Whether we can be able to increase the oxygen cylinder supply via reduction of some of the taxes, but this is a discussion that we need to get together with the industry.
Health Minister Mutahi Kagwe, speaking at Afya House, said the government will provide policy rental options for oxygen gas factory. There are 75 oxygen manufacturing industries that are currently working, 70 which are not working.
But nonetheless, PPB has been requested to try and fast-track any certification necessary to gas supply companies so that we can increase our capacity.
Both county and national government hospitals have been urged to fast-track the setting up of oxygen piping infrastructure in the wards to avoid situations where a single oxygen gas cylinder is used to take care of one patient at a time. Elsewhere, Murang'a Level 5 Hospital, there was a beehive of activities as hundreds of residents flocked to get the jab. Long queues and big crowds were seen in the early morning as everyone strives to get the jab. Speaking to media, Murang'a County CEC in charge of health, Joseph Mbai, said that the call by the president has been well received by the people and thus the big turn-up for the vaccine.
Tunaona namba zinaongezeka sana za wale wanataka kudungwa hii chanjo. Kwa hivyo tunaomba Wizara ya Afya na Rais wetu mpendwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta waongezee vaccine, wajaribu kabisa waongezee vaccine. Mimi ni upendo wangu ni kama kila mtu ambaye anafaa kuchanjwa angepata hiyo chanjo.
At the same time, he called upon people not to relent on observing the stipulated COVID measures, noting that the ICU unit is almost overwhelmed by local patients and referrals from other counties. On their part, the residents cried out to the government and local hospitals to lay plans on how best to get as many people get immunized without much of congestion as witnessed today.
Umati ule uko hapa ni umati mkubwa sana. Kwa hivyo ningeomba serikali isimamishe mambo yote, miradi yote isimamishe. Uwe ndio muradi ambao.
So far, the officers say that 18 people have succumbed to COVID in Murang'a over recent times as the third wave rolls. Stacy Atieno, KUTV.
All right, still on coronavirus, the country on Monday recorded 902 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the country's caseload to 131,116, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has said. The CS in a statement confirmed that this was from a sample size of 3,395, recording a positivity rate of 26.6%. The country's fatalities have risen to 2,135 after another 18 patients succumbed to the disease on diverse dates. Kagwe said that there are 1,270 patients currently admitted in various hospitals across the country. Another 4,620 patients are on home-based care program. Meanwhile, 407 patients have recovered from the disease, out of which 237 were from the home-based care program, while 170 were discharged from various health facilities. Kenya's recoveries now stands at 92,161. Now, while cessation of movement remains in effect in 5 counties, Kenyans are hell-bent on breaking the law and are still moving in and out of these areas. In the Blue Post Hotel barrier, boda riders are said to be the conduit between the 2 counties. The barrier was mounted on Saturday as part of the COVID-19 containment measures announced by President Uhuru Kenyatta on Friday last week. Police are having a hard time controlling motorbikes that are ferrying people across the roadblock mounted at Del Monte area near Blue Post Hotel in Thika. The clever boda riders are using shortcuts through the Del Monte farm and the nearby tropical estate to dodge the barrier. A spot by the media revealed that hundreds of boda riders were camping near Blue Post Hotel and were ferrying people moving towards Murang'a and other areas within the Mount Kenya region. One is forced to part with not less than 500 shillings to be ferried across the barrier, a distance that cost 50 shillings before the barrier was erected. Police, however, divulged that proper plans are being laid to close down the shortcuts being used by the riders, adding that those flouting the rules will be rounded up and prosecuted accordingly. On Monday, the officers were forced to disperse matatus that are ferrying commuters from Delview stage using water cannons. The matatus were waiting for passengers who were being ferried.
Kabia mimi kwetu ni hapa, niingia Thika town, akada stadi, kaniambia wewe ingia tu.
Na kutoka upande wa Murang'a naelekea huko upande wa Wetaidia, naenda kuangalia kashamba kangu. Juu naona kitabu kufunguliwe, hiyo kashamba itapotelea na ndio natoaga chakula yangu. Nitarudi juu ni kupada kidogo na kurudi.
The barrier at Blue Post was erected to control movement in and out of Kiambu, which was categorized as a disease-infected zone alongside Nairobi, Kajiado, Nakuru and Machakos counties. All right, now let's look into the hospitality industry, where investors in the hotelier industry are waiting to face one of the darkest periods yet during the 3rd wave of coronavirus. According to the investors, an increase of COVID-19 cases in the 5 locked down counties will push them to sack their workers. For the second time in an year, hundreds of workers in the hospitality industry in Naivasha faced a sack following the introduction of new curfew measures in 5 counties hardest hit by COVID-19. This came as government and private institutions cancelled all planned workshop in and around the lakeside town, which is currently ranked among top conference centers in the country.
With the current situation that is going on with the COVID-19, we can refer this to last year when it hit business. We had to close the hotel for a few months. Luckily, it was end of last year, business had started picking up. Numbers were coming in, bookings were coming in. We recovered from last year.
Early last year, over 15,000 persons who work directly and indirectly in hotels in Naivasha were rendered jobless following the first wave of the pandemic that saw all hotels closed up. And with the third wave, there are fears that tens of workers who are recalled back to their workplaces early in the year will be forced back home. According to Timothy Njuguna, the operation manager at the Nest Boutique in Naivasha, all their bookings had been cancelled after the Friday announcement by the head of state.
As we're picking up now with the new lockdown that has come in, we have had a lot of cancellations in the bookings for the next few months, hoping that the current trend will change in terms of now that the vaccination is here. We're hoping that the government will also rethink the hospitality industry and then enforce on the COVID restrictions.
He termed the current period as the darkest for hoteliers and workers as the COVID-19 cases continue to increase in the 5 red counties. Njuguna was however quick to add that they had not sacked any of their workers, but was quick to warn that they will be forced to do so if the situation did not change.
Trying to monitor how business will be, and due to the fact that the cancellations have been done, so we have had also to reduce the number of staff that we're having in terms of because of operational cost of the hotel is not viable.
Already, tens of workers in several hotels have been directed to stay at home as from Monday, as their employers reviewed the ramifications of the new government directives. All right, now let's move from COVID-19 and its effects to matters education. To KCSE, it is the second day of KCSE sittings where Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha gave a strict warning to all principals who think they can get away with exam cheating. Professor Magoha said that a popular school in Western Kenya has devised a new way of cheating where the principal had been hosting some education experts in teachers' quarter at night to answer exam sheets and leave early in the morning.
In the second day of KCSE exam timetable, the Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha has given a stern warning to all secondary schools heads over exam cheating all over the country. Professor George Magoha, without naming the school, stated that the Western Kenyan school has devised new ways to cheat in the ongoing KCSE exam, where the principal hosts education experts in school quarters to fill in exam answers during the night.
The principal has already moved teachers out of the compound and is getting the experts to come and sit exams for the children and smuggle the exams back to the classroom. Let this serve as a warning to that principal. A few teachers who are still bent on causing problems, we may have to go public and actually deal with them during the examination process if they do not stop the nonsense that they are doing.
Elsewhere, the Kenya National Examination Council has cited the third wave of coronavirus as a major challenge in managing the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education 2021. NEC has, however, assured Kenyans that it is doing all it can to ensure a credible invigilation following the guidelines provided by President Uhuru Kenyatta last week to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Ojuang Mariam, KUTV, Nairobi.
All right, now from matters education, let's move to the counties where A land dispute continues to escalate between a family and a school in Baringo County after a man believed to have been the owner was buried at night directly opposite to a class in the compound. The children of the deceased says that it was their father's demand to be buried at night on that particular spot.
It is Koroto School in Baringo County, where a bizarre incident occurred that shocked many residents in the area. This is after a man was buried in school compound directly opposite to a class. Paul Ruto Kipchabas was buried deep in the night amidst no mourners. The burial site was cemented for security reasons. The family of Mzee Kipchabas has camped here seeking justice for what is termed as their land, where the school is built. The late died on 23rd and buried on 26th March 2021.
Wanasema wanataka watoe kuondoa mwili ya katika kaburi, lakini sisi katika jamii yetu ya Kamingi tumekataa kabisa.
The ownership of this land is yet to be determined since the case is still pending in court of law. The big question, however, is why was the deceased buried here and at night?
Mazishi ilifanyika usiku kulingana na mila ya kitambo. Mila na desturi za Kalenjin. Kitambo huwa tulikuwa tunazika watu usiku. Na yeye mwenyewe kabla hajafariki akasema kwamba azikwe wakati huo. Na azikwe mahali alizaliwa.
So hiyo mashishi tulifanya hivyo kwa sababu ile uchungu tuko naye. Tukaamua kusika yeye hata bila watu. Ile uchungu tuko naye, ile hasira tuko naye, baada ya kunyang'anya shamba, ndio hii mzee amekufa. Sasa sisi wa familia tumebaki mayatima.
Koroto School has been built up to form two by the elites and professionals from this area. The construction process was funded by well-wishers who raised 3 million. Its main aim? To help the less fortunate children continue with their education.
Tukaona kuliko tufanye tena mchana tutafute madhara mengine kwamba tungeweza hata kuua mwingine. Ni heri tusike mapema alafu tuepukane na mambo mingi.
The family of Mzee Kipchabas holds that they will not stop fighting for this land until justice is found. Ojwang Mariam, KUTV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Ojwang Mariam, for that particular story. Now let's move to a sad story where Mama Sarah Obama, the grandmother to former U.S. President Barack Obama, has died. Mama Sarah died on Monday morning at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital in Kisumu County. She passed away aged 99 years. The late Sarah Obama is set to be buried on Tuesday, March 30th, 2021 at her home. It is the 29th of March 2021. Many thanks indeed for joining us here at KTV News at 9, home to comprehensive and detailed bulletin on what is happening in the country and beyond our borders. A lot we have in store for you tonight, including coronavirus pandemic here in the country. Nairobi County has reported more than 700 cases today. We'll be giving you details concerning the adherence of Kenyans to measures put in place by the government. Away from that, in our discussion tonight, we'll be focusing on matters reproductive health and why menstrual hygiene is quite important when ensuring reproductive health among women and girls. But as is our custom, let's take a look at stories making headline tonight. It is the 29th of March 2021. Many thanks indeed for joining us here at KTV News at 9, home to comprehensive and detailed bulletin on what is happening in the country and beyond our borders. A lot we have in store for you tonight, including coronavirus pandemic here in the country. Nairobi County has reported more than 700 cases today. We'll be giving you details concerning the